XR loader implementation. Loader creates an instance of all applicable subsystems when your application initializes and destroys them when your application quits. Also, this behavior is configurable. When Trackable Manager goes to start a subsystem, it gets their subsystem instance from their project active loader based on their settings found in project settings XR Planning Manager. Subsystem instance from the project's active loader based on the settings found in project settings XR Planning Management. For more information about loaders and their configuration, see XR Planning Management and User. Typical AR foundation scene, any managers present in the scene will start and stop their subsystems when the manager is enabled or disabled, respectively. The exact behavior of start and stop varies by subsystems, but generally corresponds to start doing work and stop doing work, respectively. You can start or stop a subsystem at any time based on the needs of your application. What is manager in this context? In AR Foundation, a manager is a component that provides a scripting interface for an AR feature. Is a component that provides our scripting interface for an AR feature in our scene. For example, the plane manager enables plane detection functionality and allows you to respond to detect planes in your application code. AR Foundation defines its AR features using subsystems. AR Foundation defines its AR features using subsystems. AR Foundation defines its AR features using subsystems. Managers make subsystems data accessible in a scene as game objects and components, and they also manage their subsystem lifecycle. Manager is a shorthand for subsystem lifecycle manager. For example, when the XR plane subsystem detects our チャット動きってないね。AR Foundation defines its AR features using subsystems. For example, when the XR plane subsystem detects our plane and the environment, the plane manager creates our game object representing that plane. Enabling or disabling the plane manager will also enable or disable plane detection in your app, respectively. Every AR-related subsystem has a corresponding manager. Subsystems in this package follow the naming convention XR feature subsystem and their managers. with the exception of the AR session component, are named AR Session Manager. AR Session Manager, AR Session。AR Input Manager、AR サポートチェックは俺が書いたやつ。Adding a manager to your scene. To add a manager to your scene, follow the same steps as you would to add any component. You must add all managers in a scene to the same game object. You must add all managers in a scene to the same game object as the XR origin, except the AR session component and the mesh manager, which are special cases. First, select the appropriate game object in the hierarchy window for the manager component you intended to add. Click that component button in the inspector. Finally, search for the select the manager component you wish to add. Managers. Managers add new trackables to your scene as children of the XR origin, and thus define trackables positions, rotations, and scales relative to those of the XR origin. なんか追加するの？追加してくれるんだ。トラッカブルズ。AR アンカーマネージャーとかを追加したらって話か。XR オリジンに追加しなきゃいけないわけではないんだよね。追加した方がなんか良さげな感じする。Managers add new trackables to our scene as children of their XR origin, and thus define trackables, positions, rotations, and 例えば、ここにあるアンカーマネージャー作るじゃん。そうすると、ここに AR アンカーマネージャーっていうのが XR オリジンの中に、XR オリジンを含むのか、これが。なるほど。Enabling and disabling managers. You can enable or disable AR features by enabling or disabling the relevant manager. For example, you can toggle plane detection on and off by enabling or disabling the AR plane manager component. You should only enable one manager to the same type in a scene at any given time. You should only enable one manager of the same type in a scene at any given time. You can enable or disable AR features by enabling or disabling the relevant manager. For example, you can toggle plane detection on and off by enabling or disabling the AR plane manager component. You should only enable one manager of the same type and scene at any given time. Enabling more than one instance of our manager can result in undesirable behavior, as each manager instance will interact with the same underlying systems. Active AR features can cause the device to consume more power, so it is a good practice to disable managers when your app isn't using their features. A manager responds to being enabled or disabled by calling corresponding subsystem lifecycle method. A manager responds to being enabled or disabled by calling a corresponding subsystem lifecycle method. Speech. が on enable を呼ぶとサブシステムをスタートできる。Being enabled or disabled by calling corresponding subsystem lifecycle. スタートを呼べば、違うな。コンポーネントが enable になったときと disable になったときに、そのサブシステムのスタートとストップを自動で呼んでくれる。If your provider plugin does not implement a particular subsystem, the corresponding manager automatically disables itself. For example, the Google AR Core XR plugin does not currently implement the XR object tracking subsystem, so the AR tracked object manager always disables itself on the Android platform. See platform support or your provider documentation to confirm which subsystems are available on your target platform. Okay. Trackables and trackable managers. Many AR Foundation subsystems detect and track objects in the physical environment. These subsystems are called tracking subsystems, and their managers are called trackable managers. Trackable managers use data from the tracking subsystems to create and maintain trackable components and their game objects. A trackable is a special component that represents anything that can be detected and tracked in the real world. Planes, point clouds, anchors, environment probes, are faces probe って明かりだっけ？アグリ、パンサー。Environment probes, faces, body, images, and 3D objects are all examples of objects with corresponding trackable components. Each type of trackable is created and maintained by a trackable manager of a matching type. A trackable manager wraps a tracking subsystem and uses its data to manage trackables and their game objects. For example, the AR Plane Manager generates AR Plane trackables using data from the XR Plane subsystem. This table summarizes the trackable managers and their trackable types. Each type of trackable is created and maintained by a trackable manager. Okay? で、セッションは trackable ではないと。今回使うのはカメラ。基本的にはカメラ。と、ワンチャン部屋のバウンダリー。 are enumerating trackables. Enumerated to bear the manager's trackable life cycle, adding trackables, removing trackables. これはマネージャーの話だよね。問題は AR セッションが切れないという話なんだよね。OpenXR で。ちょうどこの辺の話。Our subsystem defines the lifecycle and scripting interface of a Unity engine feature. All subsystems share a common subsystem lifecycle, but their feature implementations can vary on their session. これなんですよ。Each subsystem has a corresponding system descriptor. descriptor 説明記述詞 whose properties describe the range of the system's capabilities. Providers might assign different values to these properties at runtime based on different platform or device limitations. Wherever you use a capability described in a subsystem descriptor, you should check its property value at runtime first to confirm whether that capability is supported on the target device, as shown in the example below. ディスクリプターってどれの話だろう Well, whether the image tracking provider supports runtime modification or reference image libraries. Image tracking subsystem descriptor supports mutable library. 数みたいなやつか。Tracking subsystem is a subsystem that detects and tracks one or more objects called trackables. これはさっき見た。トラッカブルを実装している。問題はこいつなんですよ。こいつが我々の今日のA session refers to an instance of an AR experience. The AR session component controls the lifecycle of an AR experience by enabling or disabling AR on the target platform. The AR session component controls the lifecycle of an AR experience by enabling or disabling AR on the target platform. Refer to the following topics to understand how to configure the AR session environment. ちなみに、この時点で手動で AR セッションをディセーブルドするとどうなるんでしょうか、先生。Active Unity XR Subsystem Boundary Visibility で、この状態で、こいつのディセーブルドになってる。オンにしたりオフにしたりできない。勝手に無効化された。これは、 そらく、今つなげてないからで、これを、クエストではなく、XR シミュレーションにして、これ2つついてる場合ってどうなんだろうね。これもダメと。この前にちょっと聞きたいんだけど、をチャッピーに食わせて、ユニティのそろそろプロジェクト変えるか。ステッション。happens, multiple login providers check on and XR login management and Unity XR. When you check multiple plugin providers, Unity does not run them at all the same time. Instead, at runtime, Unity will try to initialize them in order. 上から順か。The first provider that successfully initializes becomes the ActiveXR runtime. なるほど。そのオーダーを変えることはできるんでしょうか。Can I change this order? Camera pass-through requires camera clear flag set to solid color with alpha value 0. Fix. Using the scene space ambient occlusion render feature results in significant performance overhead when the application is running natively on the device. Disabling or removing that feature is recommended. Screen space ambient occlusion. Yes. Just not to check box how to change initialization order. Open project settings, insert the target graph on top, and the top right of the project settings window. Click gear. ここにあるんだ。ほんま、チャッピー様々やで。はいよ。動いてくれ。で、こいつを、飛ばして、こっちの、俺の、ここですか？違う気がするが。ターゲットプラットフォームタブ。In the top right of the project setting window, click Gear menu and choose something like OpenXR plugin management setting. ないです。ないので、いきます。こっちに行くと、こいつがイネーブルドになっていると。これが切ったりできると。これって今 OpenXR ではないんだよね。XR シミュレーションっていうの。A session refers to an instance of an XR experience. The AR session component controls the lives の前に AR、XR シミュレーションの調べておきたい。R シミュレーション。バージョン、多分一番新しいやつ。XR simulation allows you to quickly test your AR app in the editor without needing to build to our device or physically move to a different location. See the following topics to learn more about testing your app with XR simulation. Overview, getting started. XR simulation lets you test your AR app in the editor, simulating the behavior of an XR device as it moves through spatially configured scenes called XR simulation environments. With XR simulation enabled, you can quickly test your AR app in a variety of environments without needing to build to our device or physically move to a different location. XR simulations one learns the simple AR sample demonstrating plane detection in a living room environment. When you enter play mode with XR simulation enabled, AR Foundation loads your XR simulation environment into the scene with keyboard and mouse navigation controls. As you navigate the environment, AR Foundation detects trackables such as planes, images, and point cloud as if you were moving around in the real space. AR Foundation includes a variety of pre-configured sample environments that you can optionally install and use, and you can also create your own environments. To understand the AR features you can test using XR simulation, refer to the following table. AR Foundation defines its AR features using subsystem. Subsystem implements are called providers. XR simulation includes editor-only providers for certain subsystems as shown in the feature tables. Allowing you test your app in play mode with no changes necessary to your scene or build setting. これがテストできるやつか。こっち行くといつもの OKOK。XR simulation has limitations you should consider when testing your app. Most importantly, while XR simulation is designed to approximate the behavior of an XR device in various environments, Simulations cannot exactly replicate device behavior and should not be considered a replacement for on-device testing. Unity recommends that you fully test your app on device you intend to support, while XR simulation allows you to more quickly iterate on some features without requiring a new build for each iteration. そもそも、まあ、自動テストできないよね、そうなると。The following AR features also have limitations in XR simulation. Plane detection. Planes are only detectable on machine occlusion. 了解。The AR session component controls the life cycle of an AR experience by enabling or disabling AR on the target platform. Refer to the following topics to understand. てか、メールがユーザーからメールが来ていないと思います。Came from Supernatural, I like this more. Use one. Oh. Use this one. Came from Supernatural, I like this more. A session refers to an instance of an AR experience. The AR session component controls the lifecycle of an AR experience by enabling or disabling AR on the target platform. Refer to the following topics to understand how to configure the AR session in your project. Platform support. Understand the features of the session subsystem. A session refers to an instance of an AR experience. A session refers to an instance of an AR experience. The AR session component controls the lifecycle of an AR experience by enabling or disabling AR on the target platform. Refer to the following topics to understand how to configure the AR session in your project. To the following topics to understand how to configure the AR session in your project. Platform Support AR Session Component Configuration Chooser. これ何? Understand the features of their session subsystem and which platform supports these features. AR Foundation requires that all provider implementations on all platforms support the session feature, are shown in the following table. That all provider implementations on all platforms support the session feature, are shown in the following table. Unity OpenXR Meta OK Unity OpenXR Android OK XR Simulation OK これリンク違ったりしないよね。あ、違うね。あ、リンクが全部違うね。うぜえな、リンク違うの。The following table lists the optional features of their session subsystem. Each optional feature is defined by a descriptor property of the XR session subsystem descriptor, which you can check at runtime to determine. The following table lists the optional feature of their session subsystem. Each optional feature is defined by a descriptor property of the XR session subsystem descriptor, which you can check at runtime to determine whether your target platform supports a feature. Refer to check for optional feature support for a code example to check whether a feature is supported. Whether the session supports the update or installation of session software are match frame rate. To check for optional feature support for a code example to check whether our feature is supported. Whether the session supports the update or installation of session software. はいはいはいはい。必要なものを match frame rate. Whether the session supports matching the AR frame rate to the Unity frame rate. AR のフレームレート、Unity のフレームレートに合わせるんだよね。Optional feature platform support. The following table lists whether certain XR plugin providers support each optional feature. ほぼ関係なし。全部対応していないので意味なし。Check for optional feature support. Your app can check at runtime. まあ、これはサポートしないからいいとして、モバイルデバイスも気にしない。Check for AR サポート、これも気にしない。Install XR ソフトウェア on mobile devices。これも、対応してないので気にしない。で、まあ、この辺を見ればいいんだけど、一旦戻って、 ちは何？ユニティ側の、あれか、インターフェース。で今のがプラットフォームサポートで、AR セッションコンポーネントが Use the AR session component to control the life cycle of AR in your project. じゃあ、どうすんのって話ですけどね。AR セッションコンポーネント。use the AR session component to control the life cycle of AR in your project. Configuration chooser が understand how to use the configuration chooser。こっち先見ていい？ Understand how to use the configuration chooser to configure your AR session. The configuration chooser is an overridable class which you can use to configure your AR session. You can use the configuration chooser to enable better performance for your application. An AR session's configuration refers to the setup for the AR session on a specific device. Refers the setup for the AR session on a specific device. For example, the type of light estimation. For example, the type of light estimation or camera facing direction used by the camera. As with different platforms and devices have different hardware and software capabilities, the configuration on their device can affect the AR features that are available. Additionally, one device might restrict different subsets of its capabilities for simultaneous use, depending on the configuration. Use the configuration chooser to determine the device configuration you want to use to maximize feature availability, or prioritize high importance feature. そんなに重要ではなさそうだな。これが非常に重要。Availability. AR session component. Use the AR session component to control the lifecycle of AR in your project. あ Use the AR session component to control the life cycle of AR in your project. The AR session component controls the life cycle of an AR experience. 米だけ炊くわ。Introduction to the AR session. The AR session component controls the lifecycle of an AR experience on non-OpenXR platform. Ah. Yes. Wii Fitness. Use the AR session component to control the life cycle of AR in your project. The AR session component controls the life cycle of an AR experience. On non-OpenXR platforms, the AR session component enables or disables AR on the target platform. だから、OpenXR ではなければ、AR セッションで Enables と Disables を切り替えられるが、問題はこれなんですよね。OpenXR を使うんですよね。Non-OpenXR platforms. On OpenXR platforms, MetaQuest and Android XR, AR Foundation can't create or destroy their AR session. Can't create or destroy the AR session. On these platforms, enabling or disabling the AR session has no effect on enabling or disabling AR. No effect on. の脳内翻訳が合っていることを確認します。ですよね。合ってますね。さすがに。じゃあどうするのかって話だよね。Introduction to the AR session. Our session refers to a session refers to an instance of AR, while other features like plane detection can be independently enabled or disabled. The session controls the life cycle of all AR features. Enabling or disabling the AR session on non-OpenXR platforms starts or stops the session, respectively. When you disable the AR session component, the system no longer tracks the features in its environment. Then, if you enable it at a later time, the system attempts to recover and maintain previously detected features. If you are starting your project from an XR template to manually add the AR session components to your scene, right-click in the hierarchy window. これね、すでに入っています。To manually add the AR session component to your scene, right-click in the hierarchy, adding multiple instances. Okay. これも見た。これも関係なかった。It's important for your app to understand the AR session state. All other AR features depend on the AR session and can't function properly until the session is tracking. You can use AR session.state to get the current session state. You can also subscribe to the AR session state to change the event receive call. この辺はやっていて、問題は AR セッションを切れないことね。で、AR の、コンポーネントというかサブシステムが生きているとパフォーマンスに悪影響をもたらすという情報が先ほどあったので、できれば AR モードを切る。AR モードを オンにする、オフにするっていうのを作りたかったんだけど、OpenXR を使っている場合は AR セッションコンポーネントの、Enabling と Disabling が AR セッションの Enabling と Disabling に影響を及ぼしませんと。ハッピーを呼ぶか。Says OpenXR platform can't disable AR session by disabling their session component. How to enable and disable their AR session in runtime and on OpenXR platform like MetaQuest or Echo. そもそも、つけっぱなしにするっていうのが一つだよね。パフォーマンスに影響がないことを祈ってつけっぱなしにする。always enable も、OK なんだよね。これ、チャッピーが頑張ってる間にちょっとググりますか。Unity AR Foundation AR Session OpenXR。ディセーブル。You can't stop the AR session itself on OpenXR. The OpenXR runtime owns the session. Instead, choose one of these approaches at runtime. Turn XR as a whole on-off. それはできないね。丸ごと言っちゃってって話かな。それはなし。If XR running but pulls AR features. If you just want to disable AR behavior, planes, anchors, pass-through, etc. without tearing down XR, stop the AR foundation subsystems and visuals. そんなことができるのかい。カメラ MGR、カメラマネージャーをディセーブルドにすればいいのか。R discovery and rendering, so it may enable AR on instantly. Vendor specific pass-through toggle. If your AR is mainly pass-through on Quest, Pico, you can toggle the vendor's pass-through feature or simply toggle AR camera background as above. AR カメラバックグラウンド。これか。AR カメラバックグラウンド。Exact API names differ by vendor. AR Foundation abstracts some of this, but if you use vendor SDKs, call their enable disable method. AR カメラバックグラウンド。AR ファンデーションの AR バックグラウンド。あるね。Add this component to your camera to copy the color camera's texture onto the background. If you are using the universal render pipeline, you must also add AR background render feature to the list of the... なるほど。なるほど。AR カメラバックグラウンド コンポーネントがあるから、AR セッションは、じゃあつけっぱなしでいいね、これ。So, we keep AR session always enabled and disable the part of the component or features one by one that didn't need. だから、置いとき、AR セッションは OpenXR では入れないので、AR カメラ、バックグラウンドなど、AR カメラなどの回の各機能を個別にディセーブルにする AR セッションは常時オンにしておく。InVR の場合は代わりに、グリーンバックにするので AR ファンデーション自体が必要ないと。これはまあ後日。なので、とりあえず背景を出すところからやりたいところですが、一旦 OpenXR のシミュレーターを使って実行してみますか。表示をしてから裏で切ってるみたいな感じですよね。読んだ。長すぎ。バックグラウンド系をやっていくから、デバイストラッキングは見なくてよくて、カメラ、render images from device cameras and platform light estimation。これと、ブレインデテクションはいらないかな。バウンディングバックスデテクションもいらないかな。いるかないらないかな。これあれなんだよね。フェイスペースとかガーディアンの類でできるのであれば、それが早いんだけど。それか OpenXR のプレイスペース。わざわざ画像から壁判定っていうのをやりたくないね。フェイストラッキング、ボディトラッキング、ポイントクラウズ、プレイキャスト、アンカー、メッシング、4、フルラウンドカメラはないのか。古いか。フルラウンドはないのか。Device cameras and their configuration are an essential function of most AR apps. Refer to the following topics to learn more about the camera features available in AR Foundation. アルファ作ってるのかワンチャンあるかなそれ。 Title suggests is it any good? I saw it recently at Barnes and Noble and it intrigued me. Haven't done the board games in a while and could use something like that project. Huh. カメラバックグラウンドって言って、AR カメラバックグラウンドとカメラは別なのかね。I see. プラス AR カメラバックグラウンド、XR ファンデーションの AR カメラバックグラウンド。Add this component to your camera to copy the color camera's texture onto the background. カメラにこのコンポーネントつければ、背景にフロントカメラの映像を入れてくれるんでね。If you are using the universal render pipeline, you must also add the AR background renderer feature to the list of the renderer feature. 入れてるよね。入れた入れた。で、その上で、このカメラにあった AR カメラバックグラウンド。これをつける。そうすると、これがすでにバックグラウンドになっている。これキーボードとマウスで動かせるって話だけど、全然 true なのか。動いている。十字キーか。あ、右クリックをしない。こういう風に、で、これがリアルの背景になると。ちょっと信用できないので、クエスト実機で見てみます。で、接続します。 で、これを接続します。うん。接続します。これからの、プロジェクトをメタクエストに変えます。Android で。そっか、PC はそもそも、あれだ、繋がないから、こっち確定なんだ。ほんで、こっちにして、これ入れます。Using Screen Space Ambient Occlusion Render Feature。ジャッピー。How to disable screen space ambient occlusion on Unity で、ビルドセッティングで Android にプラットフォームを切り替えます。はい。プラットフォーム、URP のレンダラーセットを開きます。Look under Renderer Features の Check if Screen Space Ambient Occlusion is active。ちなみに、それは何なのか。トレイン、スクリーンスペースアンビエントオクルージョン。コーナーズ、これは Lasers and areas where objects are close together receives less indirect light, so they look darker. The creases between a wall and the floor or the folds of clothing. Ambient occlusion is a rendering technique to fake this effect. It makes 3D scenes look more grounded and less floaty. Screen space is calculated only from what the camera sees, using the depth buffer. It doesn't look at the full 3D scene or writes only the image currently being rendered. For each pixel, screen space ambient occlusion checks the depth value allowed it to estimate how occluded, blocked from ambient light it is. Darkens those areas accordingly. なるほど。はいはいはいはい。これをやらないと。で、Android では、VR ではそれが重いので切ってくださいって話なんで、切ります。で、レンダーパイプラインでいけると。これに来て、レンダーパイプラインは、こっちのセッティングの中に入っているので、モバイルレンダラーのこれでしょ、スクリーンスペースアンビエントオクルーションでしょ。ついてないけどね。PC の方は。PC の方はついてると。ただ、Android の方はモバイルが有効化されてるんだよね、確か。 URP のセットデフォルトレンダーパイプラインアセットをあhow to set different URP when set for PC and Android. PC, you got a few green options. Pick one is. で、プロジェクトセッティングスのクオリティ。これか。あったあった。こっちはモバイルで、モバイル RP アセットになってるから、じゃあ切ってあるね。じゃあ大丈夫だね。で、さっきの、ちって、切ってあるよね、でも。ビルドエンドランしたいんだけど、こっちから行った方が早いんだっけ？もういいか。うん。コンパティブルデバイス。おや。クリックでテスト3つながってる。リフレッシュして。見つからないね。なぜだ？メタクエストが見つからない。パーハブ。このケーブルダメなんだっけ？メタクエスト3 not connected。あー、でデベロッパーモードみたいなのあったっけ？なんか、でリセットしたのかな俺。アドバンスドデベロッパー、イメージでデベロッパーセッティング。いやー、入ってんのでなんか、で設定するところな。 デバイス、リクエスト3、セットセッティング、デベロッパーモード、オンになってるね。では、なんないね。ないね。できるはずだったんだけどな。あ、再起動するか。ワンチャン PC も再起動した方がいいかも。I might need to restart my PC to detect MetaQuest. あ、繋がったっぽい。こうしちゃったけど。ですよ。 なったっぽい。シートがもっと出演やん。つながれ。つながっさっきつながったんだけどね。これもしかして普通のモードでつないでたん？ Okay, I'll restart my PC so the stream is end. Thank you for watching.